Chapter 1, the where, why, and how of data collection. In this video, we will have a brief discussion on what business statistics is before we get into the various learning outcomes for the chapter. So what is business statistics? By definition, it's a collection of procedures and techniques used to convert data into meaningful information in a business environment. So imagine when you're out at the mall, you're shopping, you're online, you're interacting with companies and organizations. They are constantly collecting data about you. But with that information, they have to use statistical procedures, whether descriptive or inferential, to actually turn all that data into information they can use for decision makers. So for instance, here we see a set of data which has several variables regarding book sales. And to the left here we see are the observations. So for every element that we are looking at, for instance a book, we can see information about that particular item. So we've got 15 observations here and 7 variables that we're looking at. Now just looking at this data right in front, we can't really understand a whole lot that's going on. So there's different types of statistical procedures that we'll be learning about in this course. We'll actually start with is descriptive. You've seen these kinds of statistics already. They are generally procedures and techniques designed to describe data. So think about when you watch TV or read an article or a magazine and you see a chart or a figure or a graph. Those are generally descriptive because they're describing and letting you know about some topic or piece of information. So in chapter 2, we'll be covering charts, graphs, and tables. So for instance, this is a chart based off of the data that we saw in the previous slide where we looked at the market classification. So we can see that copies of books in business outsell those of social sciences. And then decision makers can decide, hey, what should we do? Do we want to invest more in business? Perhaps open up a business-specific division? These are the kinds of decisions that companies can make with good data. Also considered descriptive are numerical measures. So this is where we're taking our data and doing some kind of calculation in order to better understand it. So for instance, we might want to calculate the average sales from the data that we saw on the last screen, or the average age of the author. And so in chapter 3, we will learn about how to calculate averages, how to work with medians, and work with that kind of information. So using that type of information, we can then describe what is going on in our data. The other type of statistical procedure that we'll learn about throughout the semester is inferential statistics. So this is where we'll use tools and techniques to help decision makers infer information about a set of data. So for instance, in chapter 8, we can use sample data to estimate what's going on. The example here is we can estimate the average family income for families in Oceanside based on the average income of a sample of families in Oceanside. Because it's very time consuming and expensive to collect data on everybody in Oceanside, we will be taking a sample or subset of families in Oceanside to analyze. Also important in statistical procedures that are inferential is hypothesis testing. So once we've got our data from a sample, can we test our hypothesis? So if you've taken a science class, this might sound familiar, where you hypothesize what might be going on. So here is an example that we might use sample evidence to test the claim that the average family income exceeds $45,000 per year. How do we know? We won't until we test it. So that's inferential statistics, and we'll spend a lot more time on it later in the semester. Now, to cap off, you might be curious, well, why would I need to learn business statistics, aside from the fact that it's a requirement in some programs? But according to U.S. News and World Report, the top jobs in 2016 included statisticians and operations research analysts, and they project a 30% job growth over the next several years. The median statistician salary according to pay scale in the U.S. is $71,361. If you follow Glassdoor.com, for instance, they have it at just above $70K. So what kind of careers are included, right? So we've got actuaries. So these are folks that use statistics to estimate and analyze risk for insurance companies. You have auditors, budget analysts in major companies, market research. So if you're a marketing major, you might be surprised that business statistics is a big skill set to have as a marketer. Data analysts are used across all industries to understand what's going on within a company, as well internally and externally. You've got marketing managers making decisions about pricing, how much inventory, which target markets to pursue. We've got operations management if you're in manufacturing. Business statistics is used to check quality, look at processes, understand cost. And then, of course, you've got your financial analysts. So these are a wide range of careers that you might be interested in. This course hopefully will introduce you to some different opportunities. And so that's a quick overview of what business statistics is.